You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. LSU will open up camp on August the 4th, and Micah Baskerville is going to be one of the more intriguing prospects on this LSU team to watch, certainly storyline to watch throughout camp. Because Baskerville still feels like he's got a lot to prove. And that's the odd part. Micah Baskerville today was named to the Butkus Award watch list, and it is watch list season where every day a different national award releases its watch list. And I want to be very clear. You should not be emotional in any way about a watch list. The only way you should actually care about a watch list is if the guy from your team isn't on the watch list. The Butkus Award today released its watch list for the best linebacker in college football. There are 51 linebackers on this list. 12 SEC schools are represented on the Butkus Award watch list. So, listen, congrats to Micah Baskerville for being on the watch list. That's a cool honor for a senior who could have left, decided to come back for his senior season, and as he put it in a tweet whenever he announced he was returning, that he wanted to help Brian Kelly get LSU back to the standard of where the expectation is for LSU football. That sounds like a guy who's ready to be a leader, doesn't it? A guy who could have gone to the NFL, said, I'm coming back for another year. I'm helping get this thing back to where it should be to leave it better than how I found it. We're not going out like this. That is very selfless of Baskerville, which is why it was so odd that the guy who clearly was taking a leadership role, was selfless in deciding to come back to school, was your second leading tackler a year ago. Damone Clark had 135 tackles. Baskerville last year at 83 tackles, 9.5 TFLs, and 2 sacks. This dude's coming back, yet all throughout spring, Baskerville was running with the third team. He was running with the third team throughout spring. Like, it is one of the more perplexing storylines that we've seen. Now, you got a new defensive coordinator in Matt House who works with the linebackers. He's the linebackers coach. So maybe Matt House, there's a different style or a different skill set that he's looking for. Or maybe they just really want him to go out and earn it. Or maybe there was something else there that we just don't know that was going on. But, Baskerville, to me, is a super important guy in this defense. I think we all roundly agree. And listen, even last week at SEC Media Days, the media kind of even validated this. The defensive line at LSU is going to be really good. B.J. Ojulari was a first-teamer. Ollie Gay was a second-teamer. Mason Smith was a third-teamer. That's not even counting guys who were really high on, like Jaquelin Roy and Jacobian Guillory, some of the young guys like Savion Jones. LSU, I think the defensive line is going to be really good. And in the secondary, you got a lot of guys who have played. It's just they all played at different places. So you got to get Brooks and Fouché and Seven Banks and Mekhi Gardner and Jark Bernard-Converse. You just got to get all these guys who have played a bunch, just at different places, to gel and play together. But you got guys who played. Linebacker is fascinating because really, Baskerville's it. Damone Clark and his 135 tackles are gone to the NFL. Damone Clark returns. After Damone Clark, Mike Jones last year had 34 tackles. Greg Penn had 11. Those are the two guys who were primarily running with the first team in spring, Greg Penn and Mike Jones. I mean, those two combined last year for 45 tackles. That's half of what Baskerville had. By a mile, your most experienced, accomplished veteran dude returning was running third team in spring. So he's got a lot clearly to prove in fall camp. And I don't know, y'all. I don't know if there was academic. I'm spitballing. I don't know. Academic issues, something going on. I don't know. But Baskerville projects as the most obvious guy to start in the middle of your defense, and he was having to earn it in camp behind a couple of guys who hadn't played a bunch. Baskerville was on this show back in January. So after Brian Kelly had been hired, after he had made the decision to return, but before spring ball, and here's what Baskerville said about waiting his turn at LSU.
We were actually stacked in the inside linebacker with Devin White, Pat Queen, Jacob Phillips. So, learning from them guys, it really helped me. They were in my corner. I had other guys like Sadiq Charles that were, talking to me, you straight, when it's your time, you're going to take over. So, I really believed in that, and now it's, I feel like it's that time.
It is his time. Matt House, your defensive coordinator, is also your linebackers coach, and maybe he's just making him earn it right now. But that is going to be – we're all going to be watching the quarterbacks. We're obviously going to be watching all the defensive backs to see how that shakes out. We clearly want to see who the starting five are going to be on the offensive line because it feels like there's 5 jobs up for grabs. I mean, the most solid starter that we feel is Will Campbell at left tackle, right? That's a true freshman. Every other job feels like it's up for grabs. So there's a lot that we're going to be interested in. You need to put Baskerville on the list as well if he can win a starting job there in the middle of this defense. And you got to get great middle linebacker play to have a great defense. I mean, just look at the best teams in LSU history. Go back to 2019. Your leading tackler that year was Jacob Phillips. Had 113 tackles. One of the quietest 113 tackle seasons you'll ever see. But the dude was a stud. He was a tackling machine in the middle of your defense. 2011, you had Kevin Minter. Now, Tyron, Eric Reed, Brandon Taylor were 1, 2, 3 leading tacklers that season. It's just the way that Chiefs set up that defense. But Kevin Minter was awesome in 2011, and he was an All-American in 2012. You go back to 2007, Ollie Highsmith led your team in tackles with 107. I mean, your best teams, your championship teams, had great middle linebackers. That's not even counting guys like Kendall Beckwith in 2016 or Devin White in 17 and 18. I mean, you all know the list. You can go back to Brady James in 2001 and 2002. But you've got to have – it's just like in baseball. Catcher, shortstop, center fielder, right up the middle. Same in football. Nose tackle, middle linebacker, safety. You got to be good up the middle, and you got to have a great middle linebacker. And I will be really interested in camp to see if Micah Baskerville can emerge and be that guy. Or if in the year, by his own acknowledgement, it's his turn, if he gets passed up by Mike Jones and Greg Penn, other dudes who have tried to emerge amid this opportunity under Matt House. LSU, August the 4th, they'll be on the practice field, so we are just a little more than a week away. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.